All Music called the song a garage rock style rave up that lyrically is everything natural born killers tried to be but failed at, killing sprees, Cadillacs, and carrying out the work of the Lord. However,
Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy and it's John. John, how are you, man?
yeah, fair to middling.
Excellent, excellent. That's the typical answer from you, so I'll take that as bog standard. You're doing all right. Well, you guys know why we're here. We're here to listen to some music, and it is going to be my turn to go off and listen to something that John offers up. So, John, please tell me, what are we working with?
So, we've talked about these guys before, both on and off camera, and it's time to open the vault, the gothic crypt that is the back catalogue of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm familiar with some of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, and you introduced me to his other project, Grinderman. So interesting character. I know that much about him. He's got some pretty interesting stories to tell through his music. So I'll be interested to see what we're working with today. What's the track?
So you'll be glad to know that none of the tracks I'm going to select are featured on the soundtrack of Peaky Blinders. Um,
So my probably 90% of my exposure comes from. So you must
so
be
this
not
one,
choosing something.
this one is a song called Deanna, and it is a live performance. Um, warts and all, I'd say, and so you get to see him in his glory.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. I look forward to it. I always love a good live show, and I'm sure you picked one that's like obviously got great, visuals, and it's sounds good for a live performance. So I'm looking forward to checking this out.
Oh, I knew I forgot something.
Great. It's gonna sound like shit. Awesome.
No, it should be
Terrific. My
good.
favorite kind of suggestions.
It's it's live at St. Luke's, but I'll explain all that later. So you go toddle off and have a listen and tell us what you think.
Will do.
Thank you.
That's a cool venue. Such an intimate setting. Never trust a couple that kind of looks similar to one another and dresses similar to one another. Those that white button down couple. I've got questions.
All right. What did you say? It's not on the list. That's on the list. That's eight more. Fucking hell, there's so many songs.
What a burden. This is already lively and raucous and looks to be an awesome evening of music that these people got to experience. Oh man, Nick Cave is an interesting cat, man. He's got this visage that's very much him, and he owns it. His stage presence is almost like this Elvis meets Mick Jagger once the song starts. And he I can't help but think he kind of looks like the head butler of a haunted mansion, and his man who is playing the fiddle like a guitar looks like he would be the scullion or something in the same haunted mansion. It's a cool look, though, man. They pull it off, that's for damn sure.
Ku Klux furniture.
Ku Klux furniture? All right. These lyrics. Sorry. He's mentioned murder like 4 times right there in a matter of a couple seconds, which totally tracks.
Deanna. Well, this is a car, and honey, this is a gun, and baby, this is day number 1. Oh, my sweet love, yeah, my little old histories, black and smoke and Christmas trees. Honey, it ain't a mystery, you're a mystery to me. Oh, Deanna, we'd eat out of their parlors, we'd eat out of their pantries, well, as she leaves in their beds, and we'd unload into their hands on this mean season, this little angel that I squeeze, she ain't been into me. Oh, Deanna, listen, she was my fucking partner. She was my fucking friend. And I ain't down here for your money. I ain't down here for your love. I don't want your love or your money. I'm down here for your souls.
Now they're going to build this back up, right?
Oh, Deanna.
It's like rollicking, foot stomping music.
Oh, Deanna. Deanna. Oh, man, look, there she's walking up the street. She's got that thing in her hand. She's walking up the street.
Okay, before this fully realizes itself here, this build up. So earlier I caught references, obviously I joked about it, to murder. Then he was talking about, like, it sounded like breaking and entering and going in and eating people's food and messing up their beds. And he's talking about this Deanna. It sounds like it was to me like some sort of like adolescent or juvenile version of like a Bonnie and Clyde type relationship, which is interesting. And he is a really great storyteller lyrically, I've come to find, whether it's Grinderman or just his Nick Cave in the Bad Seed stuff. So yeah, interesting. That's an interesting tale. You know, we've heard it in other songs and even other genres across music. But this is a really cool, interesting one. And where I come from, if you're in Baltimore and someone says, I got that thing on me, you know they're talking about a firearm. And he just said she's got that thing in her hand. Yeah, and even his gesture right there kind of looks like he's pointing a gun. So we're gonna take this back a little bit and see what he has to say the rest of the way.
Deanna. Oh man, look, there she's walking up the street. She's got that thing in her hand. She's walking up the street. She's got that thing in her hand. She's got a smile on her face. She's got that thing in her hand. She's walking up the street.
Oh god, these guys.
She's got that thing in her hand. Well, I am a knocking.
Oh.
I told myself I was sticking. Well, then you were the corner. Yeah, you pointed like a finger. And the speech is little finger.
I know he liked it. No, that was a lot of fun, man. That guy. Little did I know that that couple would come up again after I saw them in the opening shot there. Yeah, his the guy with the Fabio-esque hair and the white button down that matched his partner. He was loving that song. Yeah, I wonder how much of my assumption in this dynamic between the titular Deanna and I guess Nick's character in the song. I wonder if that dynamic that I've assumed is correct. Um, yeah, rollicking good fun. I love those scratches on the violin there at the end after that really built up into, it fully realized itself. He's got stage presence, man. I think the I recall seeing them. It was with Grinderman, and it was like in that studio setting. So it's not the same. Oftentimes, studio settings are like really great audio for a live performance, which is why we show so many like KEXP and Audio Tree stuff, videos on this channel. But this is really cool. This lovely little intimate setting. It still sounded really great, but more importantly than all that, at this point, with my, because I already have a pretty good idea of what a great musician he is. It's great to see his like stage presence come out and his personality. Even before the song started, when with the banter in the audience, it just kind of like humanized him a little bit for me, which was helpful because like you just go off the stories of the songs, which are often very dark. Um, it can kind of leave you going, all right, can we make him more likable from like a not from like a reverence music thing, but from like a human standpoint, because you start to worry a little bit. But no, yeah, this is a really great performance. Loved this venue. It looks like such a great spot to catch music in this like intimate setting with the great lighting and everything. Yeah, all around really fun, rollicking song, interesting, evocative lyrics, awesome performance. Even a good crowd for all the fun that I had there, kind of taking the piss a little bit. These guys, the folks that came here, clearly appreciated the evening with Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds that they spent. So yeah, great call, great shout, John. Really good song. I'm interested to learn more about this. Let's get back to him.
Fatima Whitbread, he's back. So you've listened to Deanna, or shall I say D-A-Anna. What do you think?
Thank you for saying that bit too, because I was curious what exactly was that refrain that they would go to, and I didn't know if it was "Dear Deanna" and or spelling out the first three letters and then going into Anna, or the first two letters and then going into Anna. So thank you for clearing that up for me. Actually, I thought this is awesome. It was a great, it was just a great decision on your part to pick like this live version of the song for a couple different reasons that I'll get into as I go over the experience that I just went through. So we get like some really obviously it starts. We get some really great crowd work and interaction between and the audience members. And what a cool venue! Like what a really
Oh,
neat spot. Like it's so well lit. It's so intimate. The setting as well. I would love to see a show there, and I'm sure those folks absolutely had the time of their lives going there. It looked like they were.
yeah, couple of things. So that is St. Luke's. It's a converted church. It belongs to the London Symphonic Orchestra,
Yeah.
and it's a venue for practice, and they hire it out. So awesome. His crowd work at the start and his timing, comedic perfection.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, eight. God, there's a lot of songs. And they're
Yeah.
just so funny. So
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Or I think he didn't hear the first thing that the like the
He goes,
person
yeah,
said.
all right.
Yeah, yeah,
What did
yeah.
you say?
Oh, no, that's not on the list. As if the list controls the man who
Yeah,
compiled it with all of his talent to write all of his songs.
not down to me. It's the list.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, list got me in a chokehold. So yes, that was I enjoyed all of that. Um, and I guess I'll get into this now since we're on the topic of it. This for me kind of helped. I already knew what kind of like at this point I had a good enough idea of what kind of musician he was, the talent therein, you know. But I also knew along with that was like this really dark side of the guy. Like all of his music is either brooding or visceral or about dark material from a subject matter standpoint. So he's cast in a dark light, this gentleman, right? So to be able to see him be fun and comedic and affable, kind of humanized him a little bit for me, which is
Yeah.
something that I had yet to experience. So that was kind of it. Music is obviously the first thing we talk about on this channel. But it is cool to see
Mm.
this human side of him on stage. So I really actually had an appreciation for that, sort of this epiphany where, wait, this is one thing that I've not gotten from any of his, even that studio performance, while not stuffy, it was still confined to when we saw Grinderman, right? So I really didn't get a clear illustration, and he's barking and spitting his
Yeah.
lyrics into the mic. So it's not, it's interesting and cool and dark and brooding and all these things, but here's this like light side of him, and I really did appreciate that. So the tune has got this like rollicking movement to its tempo, which is matched by Cave's Elvis meets Mick Jagger like stage presence that he has going on here. I couldn't help but think of like young Elvis when he was, flipping his hips and throwing his arms out and all that stuff. So I also enjoyed that. That also kind of humanized him for me a little bit. Um, so everything is moving quite fast and it's energetic, and I'm struggling to catch everything that's being sung, played and shown all in one go. Like there's all the units moving, there's different parts. I'm trying to catch everything, digest everything. um but at one point early on, after the song opens with like that hook and chorus that you alluded to, the Deanna, he begins delivering the verse, and I think I catch some reference to moths around Ku Klux furniture. And yeah, I don't know what that is about. And then that's followed up or preceded. I can't remember the order, but like he blots in her dress or something like that, and it forms the form of a death's head moth. It's like, oh, this is an interesting bit of lyricism. Also, and this could things continue to track, but I'm pretty sure I caught four references to murder in about 2.3 seconds, which that is the most that's
Standard.
yeah, oh my God, on brand. So I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't be a Nick Cave song without at least a handful of murder references. Um, so a couple of quick and inconsequential observations here. Nick Cave, with his aesthetic and that hair, he looks like he would be the head butler of a haunted mansion. And the guy who's playing the fiddle like a guitar looks like he's the scullion in the kitchen of the same haunted mansion, just or the groundskeeper or something, just some crude labor that he does around. It was just so interesting to see their visage. And God, yeah, the guy on the violin would just look like, he's like a human to werewolf transformation caught buffering at 30%. uh Almost there,
That's
not quite.
that's Warren Ellis, and I think that was the first time that month he's worn clothes.
Yeah,
So
it's a suit of sorts, and it was like he looked so out of place in those clothes. He was like my fucking mom made me wear that. Like, it just made me laugh. He looked like an
uh,
absolute feral monster. um
yeah,
so yeah. These lyrics are more and more curious to me as the song progresses, and each line that I catch, and it sounds like he's talking about, like, at one point eating and like breaking and entering probably, and eating and sleeping or messing around in the bed of, and given the reference to what he did in the dress earlier, maybe a little bit of that is going on in the bed. I don't know, but it's criminal, is what we've got going on here. A couple bandits, if you will. So I'm reminded of this, like, modern day teenage Bonnie and Clyde type dynamic between him and this titular Deanna, which is an interesting one. And again, um, tracks as far as like the kind of dark stuff that he likes to talk about in his lyrics from time to time, or maybe often. I don't know how pervasive this want is of his, but he's certainly not one to shy away from taking on some interesting. It's almost like writing a short story, or like a fiction, and then
yeah,
building that into, rather than this like, I fell in love with you, you broke my heart, like something that's so clearly of first person perspective. This is more interesting, and it has almost this like literary quality to it, where you feel like you're picking up a novella when you're hitting play or something like that, which I really enjoy. It's a nice change of pace from what you get so much of what I just um described. from other artists. So, I have to say that for a track that seems to revel in allusions to murder, guns, breaking and entering, and theft, it's very upbeat and fun, especially with all this call and response style vocals and the chorus and just the overall playful nature of the song as well. I like that odd dynamic as well. So shortly after the 3 minute mark, the music draws back, leaving only the drums and Cave singing, "Oh, Deanna," and you do this is like marquee blinking, like this is a build up. We are going to rebuild this thing. So I knew that was going to happen. I'm bracing myself. He's getting into it, grabbing the girl's hand as before. When he's getting all into it, it's quite entertaining. So you hear this faint bit of organ and tambourine, and it's clear they're starting to build this thing back up. And then the other bandmates start singing along that chorusy bit, and now Cave starts going on about how she's walking up the street smiling with that thing in her hand. And where I come from, here in the mean streets of Baltimore, if you hear someone's got that thing on them, or someone's got that thing, you don't need any further description as to what that thing might be. It's a firearm. Yeah, exactly. Oh, he got that thing on him. And she had that thing on her, and she's smiling and approaching. So it's all quite, interesting. What he's describing here. And there's this like tension to the story. And I think he's like squeeze that thing and hear it, make the bang or whatever. He's describing this sort of like this gunshot. So I have to say it's also at this point worth noting that your man with the fiddle looks like he's just losing his mind and convulsing as he's scratching all these frictious bow strikes on the strings. Um, and I've Violin was my first instrument. I always remember it tucking into the neck and shoulder, not so much the pelvis. But yeah, he's just driving that thing into his hip, leaning down. Very over here. If you see someone holding it like that, you're like, you already know you're listening to bluegrass. You don't even need to hear a note. If a guy's holding his fiddle down there, you're getting some serious bluegrass. So and his visage looked like some Appalachian bluegrass fiddle player as well. So I was digging that. Made me laugh. So by this time, and this couple stood out to me from the moment I hit play on the video, and I even called them out because you never trust a couple that looks too much alike and dresses too much alike to further underscore their like similarities physically. But your man with a like, wish.com fucking Fabio hair is just enjoying the shit out of himself right now. And it looks awkward, but like also organic to who he is. And so he warms up to you and kind of charms you with his awkwardness, but he's loving this shit. He's getting up out of his seat. He's hooping and hollering. Yeah. And it's as if, he caught the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirits took over, in some Southern Baptist church. I couldn't help but laugh at that guy. Um, in this defense, though, things are really kicking off and the band's killing it. So, like, if there was ever a time to do it, the time would have been then. And as the song wraps up, Cave reminds Deanna that he isn't for his love or for her love or money. He's in it for her soul, which he's echoing what he had mentioned earlier. And this is a lot of fun and really great, especially when they build it back up. It had this like and I don't know if I'm being like convinced by the fact that there's a presence of a violin here, but this foot stomping, romping kind of nature to it, which is a throwback. You know what I mean? Like that kind of that comes with like folk music, or I can think Celtic music probably has that quality to it or that tavern Stein clashing type, get into it type vibe to it, and that was really cool and a lot of fun. So yeah, there were more poppy, hooky elements to this song than perhaps I've heard in previous tracks by him. But there still was this dark underbelly, this unsettling nature to the lyrics, which again totally checks out. So it was interesting to see him inject that same kind of mood and darkness into a brighter, more rollicking type song. But it still worked out, and it was an awesome venue, and the crowd was great and really into it. And to see them and him work the crowd, and just their stage presence and charisma helped out a lot in illustrating some things. for me as well. So yeah, this was overall just the whole package was just a really cool experience for me checking this out.
Excellent, excellent. Well, it is my intention to give you some more Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. So there's so much to talk about him. It's a very long career. I'm not going to go into everything all at once. I'll just do little snippets here, and we'll sort of dive into them a bit more as we
Chip away at it as
further.
we
Yeah.
further into them. Yeah.
So they are an alternative, nominally Australian rock band formed in 1983. Um, following demise of Nick Cave and Mick Harvey's former group, The Birthday Party,
Hmm.
which is another kettle of fish. Um, After completing some other commitments that Nick Cave already had, um, he at this point was based in London, so he went to Australia, came back to London, and he formed the first consistent lineup um, with his mate Mick Harvey, with Barry Adamson, who we've spoken about before. He was a member of Magazine and solo stuff as well. Awesome, awesome guy. Blixer Bargeld and Hugo Race. So they were initially called Nick Cave and the Cavemen, but they soon changed it to Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds in May 84 in reference to the final Birthday Party EP, which was called The Bad Seed. So this track is from their fifth studio album, Tender Prey, released in 1988. Personnel for this is Nick Cave, vocals, Hammond organ, Mick Harvey, bass, acoustic guitar, drums, Blixer Bargeld, guitar, Roland Wolf, piano, Kid Congo Powers, guitar, and Thomas Wildler, drums. So that's the studio version. I have to say the studio version as well is much heavier on the organ in it.
Okay.
It is not so much of a full sound. So yeah, really good reviews from this. AllMusic said that the Seeds reached 1988 with their strongest album to date, the insanely powerful, gripping, tender prey. Rather than simply redoing what they'd already done, Nick Cave and company took their striking musical fusions to deeper and higher levels all round with fantastic consequences. They're a fan. Drowned in Sound said it doesn't take more than the first few bars of shock and awe opener, The Mercy Seat, to realise that The Tender Prey is an extremely important album, as much for Nick Cave as a musician as for the musical landscape in general. The record streamlines all of the band's previous guitar abuse and ragged brutality into concise, atmospheric, and theatrical pop songs. I think you're right, you picked up on the sort of these almost twisted parables that he creates. He really starts at this point in his career coming along as a writer and storyteller.
Yes.
Interesting enough, I wasn't a huge Nick Cave fan at this point, and I don't know. I still can't tell you why, but I bought this album off the shelf the week it came out, and just on a whim. And other people had heard Birthday Party, and some Bad Seed stuff. I know it was all right, but it didn't really grip me. And this album was my entry into his dark satanic world. The album opens what will become one of his signature songs, "The Mercy Seat," which was later covered by Johnny Cash. That Nick Cave said one of his highest accolades of his career was,
Mm.
"I've got a song that was covered by Johnny Cash."
Yeah, I
And
think everybody who was on that album by Cash probably said the same shit. Like, oh my
yeah,
god.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Exactly. Nine Inch Nails,
Yes.
Depeche Mode and all that. The song tells the story of a man who is on death row about to be electrocuted by the electric chair. And the mercy seat refers both to the electric chair and to the caparet, which is the lid of the Ark of the Covenant. And the song is laden with allusions to Christianity as something that he goes back to again and again. Cave later said, before I was able to write things like, "I'm not afraid to die." And kids will come up to me and say, "Hey, that line means so much to me." And I have to sort of say, I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel as cocky about death as I used to. I wake up in mad panics about death approaching. It really is like a big song in their catalogue.
Yeah, but I
The
can see him
second,
being a younger man's sentiment as well.
yeah, exactly. The second single from the album, Deanna, that you listen to, is loosely based on the Edwin Hawkins singer's version of the hymn, "Oh Happy Day." Yeah. It reached number 4, the single in the UK indie charts. Biographer Ian Johnson claimed that Deanna was a woman Nick Cave had recently had a passionate, intense relationship with. Cave later said that the song is seen as a particularly brutal act of betrayal, and 30 years on, I still haven't been fully forgiven. I console myself with the thought that I was unflinching in my duties as a songwriter, even though it broke a heart or two in the process. Um, AllMusic called the song a garage rock style rave up that lyrically is everything Natural Born Killers tried to be but failed at. Killing sprees, Cadillacs, and carrying out the work of the Lord, however
Mm,
atypically. That's a great little summation. And
yeah.
Stereo Gum noted the irresistible, danceable sway of the organ and drum beat distract, if only momentarily, from such lines as "I come a death's head into your frock." Um, and the Quieters wrote, the rousing garage pop of Deanna would quickly become one of Kay's best known songs. It was almost radio friendly and a live favourite. The lyrics are particularly memorable. That's what they say. So, yeah, this performance was at LSO St Luke's Church, London, June 30th, 2008. And the lineup that you saw was Nick Cave on vocals, Mick Harvey on guitar, Warren Ellis on violin, Martin Casey bass, Conway Savage, it's a great name, on organ, and Thomas Wilder and Jim Sklavunus on drums and percussion. But I don't know which did which, but they kind of share the duties. So it was recorded for BBC Four's In Session series, and there is an unofficial CD released of the gig. And as I said, the LSO is the London Symphony Orchestra's Music Education Centre and venue for chamber music rehearsals and commercial hire. I believe, let me just double check my notes. Yeah, so this gig for BBC Four, I believe it was an invited audience as well. So there's every chance, or some chance, that he may have known the woman whose hand he held. He may
Oh,
even known the blonde guy who was worshipping at the church of Vidal Sassoon. You know, he may not, but there's a chance. Anyway, let's get into the lyrics. And he did change them slightly. The thing I love about this performance is it shows through his charisma, and it's not a perfect performance by any means, in terms of timing, musicality, and I think they almost crash and burn at one point, but they managed to save it. But it rambles on, and it really has the spirit, is what he was trying to convey. So, oh Deanna, oh Deanna, Deanna, oh Deanna, oh Deanna, yeah, oh Deanna, Deanna. Well, I ain't down here for your money. I ain't down here for your love. I ain't down here for your love with money. I'm down here for your soul. Well, a little carpet on the floor and the winding cloth holds many moths. Around your Ku Klux furniture, I come of death head in your frock. We discuss murder and the murder act. Murder takes the wheel of your Cadillac. We discuss the murder pack and death climbs in the back. Oh, Deanna, oh, Deanna, Deanna. Well, this is a car, oh, Deanna. And honey, this is a gun, Deanna. And baby, this is day number one, oh, Deanna. Oh, my sweet love, Deanna. Our little crime worm histories, black and smoking Christmas trees. Honey, it ain't a mystery. Why, you're a mystery to me. Oh, Deanna, we will eat out of their pantries and their parlors, ashy leaving in their beds, and we'll unload into their heads. On this mean season, this little angel that I'm squeezing, she ain't been mean to me. Oh, Deanna, oh, Deanna, Deanna. Listen, she was my fucking partner, oh, Deanna. She was my fucking friend, Deanna. And I ain't down here for your money, I ain't down here for your love. I don't want your love or your money. I'm down here for your soul, oh, Deanna. And then you just say it's this build-up bit.
mm.
Forgive me. Oh, Deanna, oh, Deanna, 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 oh, Deanna, oh, Deanna, Deanna, Deanna. I had to write all this out. Um, she's walking up the street. Oh, Deanna. She's got that thing in her hand. Deanna. She's walking up the street. Oh, Deanna. She's got that thing in her hand. Deanna. She's got a smile on her face. Oh, Deanna. She's got that thing in her hand. Deanna. She's walking up the street. Oh, Deanna. She's got that thing in her hand. Deanna. Well, I'm a knocking with my toolbox and my stocking. I'll meet you at the corner. Yes, you point it like a finger and squeeze his little finger. Feel its kick, feel its bang. And I ain't down here for your money. I ain't down here for your love. I don't want your love or your money. I'm down here for your soul. Yeah, so that's it. That was a lovely little tale. It's like it is this sort of murder spree.
Yeah.
Um,
Why did he say something about betrayal? is that not about the song, or was that about like how he did her in real life? Because like he didn't he say
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. Because I'm like, was the betrayal like, oh shit, she shot him in the at the end of the song? But no, I guess it was just
A
because I was trying
betrayal
to.
of confidence, I think.
Yeah, okay, okay,
So
interesting.
yeah, so with the that initial banter that we discussed, and then this raucous ramshackle intro into the performance, and
Yeah,
it's from the Dig Lazarus Dig era of their career. This well obviously came out in 1988, but the performance is 2008. So some like 20 years
yeah,
later. And I've got a snippet from another song with they did later from this era as well, which is brilliant. But it showcases, as I said, the humor, the power, the stage persona, and the charisma of Cave and the band to as I say, a selected and enthusiastic and admiring audience. So what could go wrong? And a wonderful setting. So yeah, I this was my favorite song of that album when I got it, and it's probably still is. Mercy Seat is one that everyone, as a Nick Cave fan, knows. It's an easy one to go to, but I just think with this performance as well, it's just a real fun. And
yeah. It was.
you're right in terms of the persona of Nick Cave, though I have to say that has changed. Um, I'd say three-quarters of his career was this dark, gothic, um, sort of twisted narrative, and then it's changed for
Yeah,
various reasons. And the last three albums in particular are amazing. So, just to summarize, they have released 18 studio albums so far, starting with From Her to Eternity in 1984. This is their fifth in 88. They have been described as one of the most original and celebrated bands of the post-punk and alternative rock eras in the 80s and onwards. And their last three albums have Metacritic scores of Skeleton Tree 95, Ghosteen 96,
yeah,
and this year's just like 6 weeks ago, Wild God 89. So yeah, I mean, really
yeah.
highly valued by all and sundry, even people like in Pitchfork. So
Even
this is
they
our
can't
first
get
volley into the back catalogue of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. We've got three or four more lined up already. I think we'll have a bit of fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, for the stuff that I've heard that was done on Into the Music, the stuff that I heard before, and every time I've watched Peaky Blinders, and now this, I'm each with each listen, each track, I get a new and better perspective on the man and the band, and I do enjoy them a lot. So please
Yeah,
keep.
yeah. He is an interesting character, and you see as his career develops how thoughtful he is, and intelligent. But he does try to learn as he goes along, and he questions things like Christianity. He doesn't have a take on it, and that's it. It's solid. He changes as he goes along, questioning things and revising his thoughts as he goes, which is rare, you know, and
Yeah,
I think a sign of intelligence. And yeah, musically as well, they've developed and so much. Really interesting stuff. So we'll have some more, and hopefully, folks out there will enjoy it as well.
I hope so.
Okay, I'll wrap things up. We've rambled on for way too long. So thanks for listening to this, Sunday. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's a rollicking version. Folks out there, tell us what you think. If you like this, please hit the like button and drop some comments. Tell us what you think about this performance, about this song, this album, Nick Cave, Australia, anything you like. We're open to it. We'd love to hear from you. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. Because until you do, the killing will continue. That being said, thanks so much for watching. I will see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.